What's up, everybody? Big Herc fresh out. Got another dope interview for you. I'm sitting here with author Terry Wroten in LA at his bookstore. He's got a hell of a story. I'm gonna let him get more into his story and tell you a little bit about where he's from. But you guys, stay tuned for this really good interview with Terry Wroten. Terry, tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name, as you said, my name is Terry Wroten. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. I grew up in the streets off the east side of Los Angeles and South Central. Ran the streets at a young age, started gang banging at a young age, and getting caught in the street life at a young age.
So, what was the incident that led to you getting caught up in the system? I mean, I don't know if you've been to jail multiple times, but the incident that led to you the last time when you got locked up, what happened? What was the scenario around that?
Well, the scenario was, like I said, I got caught up young. I got tried as an adult out in California under Proposition 21. I was one of the first juveniles to get tried under that law, which back in the days, in let's say 70s and 80s, you had to be 16 or up to get tried as an adult. Nowadays, on your 12th birthday, if you go out there let's say on your 13th birthday, let's say you 12, you about to be 13, you go out there and shoot a gun in the air to celebrate, and the bullet come down and hit a car, that's attempted murder. And you could get life for that.
Wow.
Because under Proposition 21 it went from, you could be 16, 17, or let's say mentally fit at 16, 17 to get tried as an adult. Now, you could be 12 and 13 and get tried as an adult. So what happened is that at 14, I caught a case. Well, I didn't catch the case at 14. They came and kicked in my mother's door at when I was 14 for a murder that they said I did. So at the time, I wasn't there. My mom, I was caught up in the street life, and my mom wasn't having it. So she's like, either you want to go to school, get good grades, or if you think you grown, go live on your own. And so I took to the streets, and at the time when the incident happened, the police thought I was staying with my mom and came and kicked in the door. I wasn't there. So at that time I went on the run. So in the midst of me on the run, I just started robbing everything. And I started robbing everything, whereas eventually I ended up getting caught at 14. And within the time frame at that age, I was already on the run for a murder. Now I had this high-speed chase. I get caught on these robberies, and the media pick it up. And like I said, I was one of the first to get tried under Proposition 21. So I ended up getting sentenced to 13 years, 7 years for the robberies, and then with the gang allegations and all that, I ended up getting 13 years. And in the midst of that, with the murder, I ended up fighting the murder for 5 years straight.
Damn. So what was the court process like at 14? Because I know I went to juvenile hall when I was 14 and a half, man, and it's like, you really ain't got no rights, you know what I mean? So, I mean, how did you handle that? Did you have a paid attorney or a public pretender, or?
Well, in the beginning, I didn't have the money, or let's say my mom and them didn't understand the severity of the cases until first I went to juvenile hall. I went to East Lake, and from East Lake, I went to a hearing in front of the juvenile judge, and she bounded over the first court like, we don't want him. He lost what they call a fitness hearing. A fitness hearing where they go, you as a juvenile, you go in front of a juvenile judge, and they say, is you fit to get tried as an adult, or is you fit to get tried as a juvenile? So my first fit hearing, she bounded over to Superior Court at CCB. So they took me from juvenile halls to LA County, to the juvenile module in the county.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So at that point, were you being held as a juvenile, but you'd go back and forth to adult court?
No, I was held as an adult in LA County Jail.
Oh,
but
shit.
They had at the time they had a juvenile module.
Okay.
Like, we was with the adults, but we wasn't with the adults.
Wow. So they're actually putting youngsters. It's like almost like a mix. I know YAs from like 12 to 25, damn near. So you guys were around grown men, but separated as juveniles.
Yeah, but nowadays they found that unfit. See, I was one. They found like some dudes wasn't making it alive in there. Like Like one dude, like he ended up getting stabbed up by an adult, and it went big. Is what happened is like his parents had clout. Like one of his dad was a lawyer.
Shit! And he was locked up with you?
Yeah, he was locked up. You know, some kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids in a lifespan, like they rebel. They try to find themselves. Every boy or every child go through a thing where they go through identity crisis. And it don't matter if you was raised in the suburbs or if you was raised in the inner cities.
That's right.
If you decide to be a gangster, you decide to be a gangster. Sometimes you could look in a kid eye and say, okay, nah, he's just going through identity crisis. Then sometimes you could look to a kid eye and say, he destined to be a gangster. He gonna have to go through the trials and tribulations of a gangster because that's in his mindset. You see what I'm saying? So what happened is like some of us, like, I was destined, like that's what I wanted to do. And then some kids I seen there, it's just like, dang man, you just got dealt the wrong hand.
So little dude, he didn't make it, huh?
Nah, he didn't make it, and he ended up getting stabbed and sodomized, and
man.
I didn't see it. This was before like I got there, but that was like the big case within the fight they had against CDC. At the time it was CDC. Now they changed it to CDCR.
Okay.
For California Department of Corrections, and then when they start going through all this heat, they put it California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation.
Oh yeah.
Because they wasn't rehabilitating.
No, they wasn't doing that. It's basically gladiator school.
Got it, right. So with that incident, a few other incidents happened, and then you know at this time you got kids who have been there. Like I was 14, so you got kids in there 13, 14, 15, 16, and we're in these adult prisons and facilities, and we getting done just like the adults. Like they busted my head. Like I got into it with a CO at 16. I was already down, but just stuff like that was going on. Whereas they end up changing the laws where now you go to YA. You could lose your fitness, but you go to YA. You're not going to an adult facility.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, because I know when I was 18. I got tried as an adult, but they sent me to YA as an M number, and then if I fucked up, I would go to the pen.
Go to the pen, yeah.
So, but they had youngsters in there, man. I seen dudes up in there 12, 13, you know what I mean? Basically, you know, they were up in there, and then they can max out to 25, I believe. I believe was a max out, so it's pretty crazy, man. What, I mean, so your experience with the court system, I mean, so what happened as far as, did your family get involved at a certain point?
Okay, so like, well, what happened is, like I said, I was already on a run for a case, a murder. So what happened is they put the murder on the back burner because they felt they had a better chance at convicting me on the robberies because I had the high-speed chase. It was on the news and just stuff like that. So what happened is the judge bound me over to get tried as an adult. Okay. So they left the murder, what they called lingering.
Okay.
They didn't book me. They booked me first. Then the DA rejected. Okay. But they had already kicked in my door. I went on the run and all that stuff. So what happened is they left her lingering. But it's like something that the DA, like, it's like they play cat and mouse within the system, like you probably understand. So what happened is they let me fight the robberies first. So at the time, like, okay, I know I'm caught dead bang on the robberies. I'm not worrying about the murder because the murder was carrying the life. You feel me? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do the time for the robberies. And then I was thinking, like, I'm getting tried as an adult. Like, okay, if I'd have went to YA, let me just take this 13 years, 7 years for the robbery, and then the 5 years for the extra for the gang allegation, and then another year for what they call the felony invasion for the high-speed chase. So that equals 13 years total. But after I took that, what happened is, so I pled guilty to that. So like me and my crime partners, we all took the package deal. We pled guilty to it, got the DA conviction what he wanted. But then right after I pled guilty, they sent me back to the county. I go to prison, but I'm still a juvenile, so I go to Hatchby Juvenile Yard. So I go to the Hatchby Juvenile Yard in reception for about a month. Then they bring me back down to the county and slap the murder on me. Boom. Oh, so what happened is, why they do that is, is because now I got a conviction on my jacket that they
prior.
could put, that I got a prior that they could put in front of the jury and say,
to try to
well, he already got a prior
Yeah.
at this age right here. He pleaded guilty to gang allegations. He committed this murder for a gang, for gang activities and involvement. That was their whole plot, because I really never did the murder. But they was kicking in my door because at the time my name, me being so young, I was doing stuff like getting my name out there. And so my name was ringing in the streets. But so when something happened this way, the police off top, it was Terry. But they never had no evidence on me, so that was a form of way where we could try to convince the jury that he did it. He already got a conviction. Yeah, his character, their character assassination. He got a conviction, which they're not saying, okay, is you saying that I really committed these crimes because I was on the run from these crimes. I couldn't go home because I was really scared. You see what I'm saying? And I had to survive on the streets at 14. But you didn't want to put that. You just wanted to get the conviction and then try me. Whereas my innocence is taken now, because now you can say I'm a beast already.
Yeah, exactly.
We got him
for the robberies.
For the robberies. Not only that, the 5-year gang against, so we could say he's in a gang. We know he's a approved gang member. He did this robbery for the gang. See, all that was a package deal that I didn't understand until I fought the murders. Then I realized where the DA tried to say, well, he took 5 years. He pleaded guilty on gang allegations for 5 years. He got an extra 5 years for being a notorious gang member.
Wow.
So that's how that all came about. And by the grace of God, I ended up getting James Cooper, which is my lawyer to this day, and good investigators and people came to the court behind me, and the jurors seen through the smoke and mirror, and I ended up getting found not guilty.
Wow.
So, but I ended up still doing 10.5 years for the robberies.
Damn. So, after you beat the murder and you went back to start doing your time, where'd you do your time at?
Well, in the process of that, mind you, I was still young. So after I beat the murder, they had to send me back to Tehachapi Juvenile Yard. Okay. So I went to Tehachapi Juvenile Yard because at this time I'm 16, 17. And I gotta still do another year on a juvenile yard. So within that time, I ended up getting into it with a correction officer because he called me an N-word, and I told him when I come out the cell, I'ma knock him out. So then, so I had to live up to that. I had to, I put that on my mama. I put that on what I stood for at the time, and. One thing about me, I stand on what I believe in. If I'm doing something positive and I believe it's positive and I stand on it, I stand on it. If I'm doing something negative and I just stand on what I believe in. So the next day he came, and when he opened the door, I knocked him out. But they shot me in the head with the black gun. I ended up doing 5 years in the SHU. So at 17, I ended up going to Pelican. I ended up going to Asset. Then committee ended up finding me guilty. I ended up getting another DA referral for assault on a battery on a peace officer. But like I say, the system is set up whereas everything is their will, their way. Everything is they got it set up it's a way to get out. So what happened is they gave me a DA referral, but in reality, they had cameras and they seen the CO used to always provoke me. And they shot me in the block. I was in the hospital. I still got this mark right here. They shot me in the head with the block gun, and I was 17. And at this time, that's when I say this when the outroars and all this stuff was happening with why you locking these young dudes up with and treating them so harsh. So at that time, internal affairs and all that was in. It was already coming to the jails, and so they ended up giving me a DA referral. So what the DA did is if I just washed it under the rug where don't let my mom come protesting and saying he's a kid and all this stuff. So my mom signed over saying she ain't gonna
make an uproar.
Make a uproar because they already is under fire. Not with me, but already within that whole locking juveniles up and throwing away the key type type thing. Just like the 3-strike law, like the dude, you remember all the people who came up with the descendants and all that stuff, they kids start getting locked up under the 3-strike law. Then they wanted to change it.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. So what happened is with the juvenile Proposition 21 is it got outbanned because now these people that's in politicians, they nephews, they grandkids, they coming in here with us. And they seen the harsh reality of it.
Yeah.
So I end up, so at 17, I ended up getting a DA referral, and they offered me 25 years on a veteran peace officer. So my mom, and now I got my lawyer. I forgot to remember my lawyer, James Cooper. He just took on the case just because now it's like they just trying to railroad you.
Just trying to just lock you down forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Like, so Cooper took over it. He got to kind of get the media behind it. The media, so now it's like, okay, the DA come, we'll drop all charges, just let him handle it with the state. Now with the state, handling with the state meaning, okay, you get what they call asset lockup time, like you go to the hole, a jail inside a jail. So what happened is, okay, the DA rejected. I told him, like, I signed the paper saying like I have no issues, like I have no like head trauma, like because you know
kind of
they
like
had
a waiver. They try
like
to
a waiver,
get themselves out of any liability.
That liability, right? Because
Okay.
mind you, I'm still a minor, and now it's a lot of politicians.
And explain to the
getting
people what a
behind.
block gun is.
Okay, a block gun is a real gun, but it shoot blocks. Like it's supposed to be like a bean. You remember
Like a beanbag gun, like a rubber
beanbag
board gun?
but it shoot a block, a wood block.
Oh shit.
So when it shoot, you don't like, and they got warning shots. Like I was on level 4, so they had like warnings. They say no warning shots, but block guns is like they warning shots
Before they start busting.
before they shoot the M16. So what happened is when he came by and I had knocked him out, the tower didn't see it. The tower didn't see it. His other partner seen it, and everybody else like ran. Like everybody that I thought was gonna be there, like they ran. So the block like, get down. I didn't want to get down, so I tried to run back to my cell, because I was gonna board up, and he shot me in the head. But make a long story short, so what happened is once the DA dropped it, they gave me 5 years in the shoe. So they gave me a 5-year shoe term, which I said is a jail inside of a jail.
Yeah.
So I ended up going from Tehachapi hole and shoe to Pelican Bay shoe. So I was in D1 in Pelican Bay for about 4 years, and then after I finished my shoe term, I ended up going to High Desert, and I stayed in High Desert for about a year because they ended up doing like they said people was coming up there to conspiracy to assault staff. So what they did, anybody who had a battery on a peace officer, they got us out that prison. They put us in a hole. So I stayed in the hole majority of my time.
No shit.
So they put us in the hole for 90 days to committee. Then committee sent us, put us up for what they call transfer. But it took me to transfer another 180 days.
Wow.
So I ended up going to New Folsom.
Okay.
Then from New Folsom, I ended up opening up New Delano. They end up transferring because they opened up, this is a 180 at the time, they opened up New Delano, so they sent me, this is like 2005, they sent me to New Delano. Then from New Delano, I went back to New Folsom because New Folsom was the best 4-yard at the time. And then that's where I paroled from.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's a hell of a setup, man. I mean, the way they get people caught up in there, and like you said, it's a blessing that you made it up out of there, because I know a lot of dudes, they lose their marbles up in there, man.
Right.
What was the craziest thing you seen while you're up in there? I know being in a hole, you see a lot of shit. You know, people always ask me stuff because they see a lot of these movies and shit. But having lived through that experience, man, I know you've seen some shit. What was some of the crazy stuff you seen while you were down?
Well, like you said, like a lot of the stuff I'll be thinking like straight up, it's probably before my time. Like the movies and stuff, like people, that's not like reality. Like that wasn't my reality of prison. Like truthfully, I seen some crazy stuff, but like even in the hole, like I was locked in the cell like 24 hours a day. Every other day I came out the shower for 15 minutes. So it wasn't 23 hours a day. When you're in the shoe in Pelican Bay, it's 24 hours a day. Some people say 23.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours a day and you come out the shower every other day.
Wow.
And you might get wrecked. Let's say 2 to 3 hours every other day. So it wasn't like my 5 years in the shoe, I probably seen daylight probably about 1,000 hours.
Wow. What'd you do to keep your mind strong while you were in the shoe, man?
See, that was the key point. That's how like all came about like to what I do now, because my mom, like, she made me just promise her something. Like my mom used to always just write me and try her best, even though like single mom, she was trying her best. Like just promise me like you ain't gonna get on like the psych meds. You're not gonna do nothing. Like that's what they want you. Like my mom, a strong believer. Like the system is built to keep people down, to keep you devastated, and I believe that too. So like my whole thing is I told myself like no matter what, it's gonna be mind over matter. They had my body, but they didn't have my mind. So I started reading everything. I started teaching myself how to write. I started teaching myself how to do certain things, stuff that, because I didn't go to school on the streets, because mind you, I got locked up at 14 and I was gang banging. I started gang banging at 10. My whole family is was in the gang. So product of my environment, I thought that was the life. You feel me? So what I did is I told myself like, I want to better myself. Like, it's like after a while, I had so much time to think. Now I'm not on the yard, walking the yard with the homies or getting caught up in now it's like I'm in this cell and I'm thinking to myself like, man, I've been down. Now I've been down about 8 years. Now I'm like, man, like, okay, the first 5, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like when people do like short times and they caught up in the street life and they want to be hardcore in the gangbang life, to them that's part of getting like your stripes. Like, ooh, you been there. Like,
did a little bit.
Yeah, you did a little bit. But like them first 1 or 2, 3 years, you congregating with the homies you ain't seen in 2, 3 years. Oh yeah, remember this girl? Remember man, we did this girl. By the time you look up, a year done passed. Now you done started something else. By the time you look up, 2 years done passed. But when you start getting to that 4th, 5th, and 6th year, you like, man, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to be here no more. This shit is old. It's played out. This is not life. And that's came to circle in my time where I was like, man, this not this. And I started thinking to myself like, I want better. I'm gonna do better. And I just started reading and studying, and at the time I really didn't know how to read or write, so I just started like it was fascinating to me like to teach myself like how to do all this stuff.
Wow, that's a hell of a story, man. I know I tell people all the time that there is no rehabilitation. You got to rehabilitate yourself.
Right.
And you made a good point, because when you pull yourself out of that gossip and you start focusing on stuff that's not your past, you can change, because otherwise you're still in your past if you keep talking about it.
Right.
You know, so it's like that's part of like prepping your mind. So, man, as you got closer to getting home, what are some of the things you did as you saw yourself getting ready to come home and get back into society so you didn't get caught back in that lifestyle?
Okay, so now about like when I realized like man, like, cause you know they send you the paper, and now you like, I'm like, man, I've been down. Whoa, I was almost a decade now. It's about time, because after you've been down so long, you ain't even worried about going home. You just, when the day come, it come. But in a way, you prepping, and I start prepping like saying like, I told myself like, I want to take the GED, because now I'm anywhere you go, if you get around people. I believe in the universe of attraction. You attract to you what you get. If you think positive results gonna follow. If you think negative results gonna follow. So as I started learning and I started reading, I read the book, it's called The Secret, Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah, I read
so
that too.
I started reading and stuff like, dang, no wonder why I'm always in trouble. Look who I be with. I be with nothing but negative, like everybody talking about who beat up this person, who doing this. And guess what? Now it's like Tupac's trading war stories. We kept trading war stories to the point where I told myself like, it's people out here that really want to see you do good, and it's people who don't want to see you do good. But you need to find the people that do want to see you do good. So I go to yard and like my boys would be like, man, he on some other stuff now. Like they started thinking I'm changing, but I wasn't. I was changing, but I was changing for the better, and they didn't see it. So I started hanging with the older dudes who been having life, who just wanted to look, man. I've been here. I'm not going nowhere. I got life. Or I just started hanging with people who I seen like, hey man, like I see you in a law school. I see you going to school. I see you trying to get your GED. How you get your GED? Oh man, I'm to go to the teacher. She'll help you. I start figuring out, I start questioning, because, you know, Q is for questioning, a wise man too. So I'm a question, I start realizing it's people on this yard that know a lot more than me and that can help me. So that's what I did. I started getting around people that could help me on the yard, and I took my GED. I passed it. Then the teacher said, Terry, like, wow, like, you passed it so high, you the first highest, like, you need to take these college classes. You still a juvenile, so they put me in a YOP program, Youth Offenders Program, whereas they paid for me to take courses from Fresno Pacific University. So I took courses at Fresno Pacific University. They were sending everything the state started paying for. This stuff that we don't take. A lot of, let me say, 90% of inmates, juveniles, young, because the prison system is filled with dudes from 18 to 25. And if they knew what like nowadays I look at my prison stay was just an extended few years of college, School of Hard Knocks. My first years I partied, I did what I did like a fraternity. And then like my last few years I took it serious and I ended up like leaving there with an AA. But I never graduated high school, but I got my GED. I ended up there with a lot of different, like, let's say, certificates with different things and stuff like that. I just knew, like, I wanted better. Then plus, like I told you, like, in the SHU, I started writing books in the SHU because that was my way out. Books was my way out. Like, once I didn't have no more books to read, because I'm in the cell 24/7 for 5 years straight, I just started writing to myself. And they became my books.
Did you find a mentor in prison who kind of took you under their wing? Because I know when I was in the pen at Long Park, like you said, I surrounded myself around some of the older cats who kind of laced me, who had been down 10 years, 15 years, and I never really had a male role model. So it's almost like I found a male role model in there to kind of give me some guidance. Did you find that in there?
Yeah, I found an older dude. He already been down. A couple, like all my cellies. Like I got to the point after I got out the SHU, because being in the SHU, when I went to the SHU, I ended up getting with an older dude. He older, same affiliate as me, being a Crip, and he was out the rolling 60s. I was out the 4 trades. Even though like on the streets they say gangsters and neighborhoods don't mix, but he was an older dude, and his name Bandit, and this was my boy. And to this day, I still write him. We still correspond. I still look out for him. He been down like 29 years. And he started teaching me like just different stuff. Like, look, man, you do this. Like, he took me in like as a little brother or son, you could say, because we was in the cell for 5 years straight. We got to figure out how to fend for ourselves. We got to eat. We got to do all our stuff. You feel what I'm saying? So he just started teaching me like, look, like, nah, you don't spell, because I used to think you spell dog, D-A-W-G, the street way. I used to argue with people like, you don't spell dog like that, man. How you gonna tell me how to spell dog?
Yeah.
Because how I learned how to spell dog was in the street. See what I'm saying? So what I did is to this day, all my crowd I hang with is dudes who probably 10 to 15 years older than me.
So I know we talked about like having a mentor and having somebody to give you some positive influence. When you realized that it was your release day, and you went to R&D to be released, man, what was going through your mind as you knew that you were leaving the pen? I mean, and leaving that life.
Like, it was like, you know how you get them butterflies? Like the sense of unknown. Like, I was getting to the point I had been gone so long, it was like, mind you, I left a kid. Now I'm like a man, like I'm 25 now.
Practically grew up in the system.
Yeah, I grew up in the system. Then it's like, I know like I'm going back to where I grew up at. Like, that's all I know. But I know deep down inside, like, I got something in me. I'm different from everybody else. So like that was my motivation, but it was like, it's like this feeling, like it's kind of hard to explain. It's like these butterflies you get. You happy to be free, but you just don't know the unknown, because you never know what tomorrow brings. So it was more of a token, like a relief, like, man, I did it. Like I'm out. But I wasn't out until I walked out that gate. I had my clothes, and I wasn't out till I didn't realize I was out till I was on that freeway coming home. and I told my mom, I said, pull over to that Jack in the Box right there. And then when I tasted that Jack in the Box burger, I said, yeah, I'm free.
Wow, that's a good feeling, man. I know I was anointed until they actually cracked the doors, because it's like you say that you release, but until you get on the other side of the wall.
Right.
It's a crazy feeling. So when you got out, man, what was what were some of the things that you wanted to do that you didn't get a chance to do? Because I know you missed out on a lot, man, as far as childhood. What are some of the things that you took upon yourself?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I had a lot of different terms and conditions of my parole. So first, with the gang allegations, they made me register as a gang member. So it was like this recidivism rate for me was so high where I didn't realize, and I fell again. See, that's the crazy part. I went back down on a parole violation for some stuff like that. It was set up like. So now
Because of the gang affiliation.
because the gang, right? And then if you put let's say if I put you, if you're a bodybuilder, and I tell you you can't be around bodybuilders, but where you stay at is nothing but bodybuilders. Guess what's gonna happen?
Yeah. It's automatic violation.
It's
off the
automatic
top.
violation off the top.
Yeah.
So if I'm coming back to the inner cities where I'm at, and this is where I got a parole to, because you're not letting me parole out my county where I caught my case, and in this county where I caught my cases, this is why I only got to stay unless you want me to go to Skid Row. And you're not giving me a transitional housing or none of that, but I gotta have a parole address and all that for you. So guess where I gotta go? I gotta go to my community. I gotta go where my family got a stronghold and there's a house for me to rest my head. But guess where it put me? Back where you told me not to go. Do it.
Yeah.
See the contradiction of it? So I ended up going back to prison. So I ended up going back to prison. So this time that I'm out now, that's when I decided, okay, I got a bigger picture. But it was God. And when I say it was God or a high being, because mind you, I was gone all them years from 14 to 25, I was gone. So I didn't know what I was up against. I never paid no bills. I never, everything till I was 25 was taken care of for me, except when I was on a run. That was the only time. And at that time, I didn't really pay nothing because I was just robbing this thing, pillow to post in my friends in the house. But now I'm out here a grown man, and who gonna take care of grown men? So now I gotta realize, damn, you need a car. You're a known gang member, so you can't get on a bus. You need a job. All this stuff it wasn't prison no more. It wasn't a hot in the cot. It was reality. Like, bro, you gotta do something. So it gave me a taste of the real world. And then when I went back, it set me down. Then I said, okay, I had my books. I had different stuff that I did in the shoot from the last time that I'd incorporate because things was moving so fast. It's like you gave a turtle wings. Now the turtle then caught up to the rabbit. But the turtle moving so fast, his head spinning because he got wings, because the turtle used to moving slow. He used to moving with, when the guard say go, he go. But now the turtle out here with wings, he flying wherever he want to go because he don't got no guard telling him where to go. Now the turtle lost because he used to crawling from here to here to this, around his house. Now the turtle all the way in another state, flying because he got wings. The turtle lost in the world. And it spun him so much, the turtle didn't know where he was at. And that's how I was. I was the turtle who got wings to fly.
How was you able to, the second time you got out, what did you do different? How were you able to avoid that trap they try to set up for all these youngsters?
Because so when I went back, now I had a different outlook on life, a different outlook on what society look at, what society looked like, what I was up against. I was up against, okay, I know for a fact I gotta have some kind of source of income. I know for a fact this is what it is. This is what it boiled down to, is me against the world. I know for a fact I got all these different circumstances against me. How do I beat each one? So I had to strategically sit down in that cell and once again zone out and go back to my energy flow where I'm putting it into the universe. This is what I want to do when I get out. This is what I have to do when I get out. Because like I said, even though I did all the positive thinking and all the stuff, my first bid, I didn't realize what I was up against and I was lost. So the turtle the guards end up putting the turtle back in his house where the turtle was back focused, like crawling. He seen the rabbit, but he was back here. He caught up to the turtle, always catching up to the rabbit eventually, right? So the turtle, he lost his wings, so he fell back. Now the turtle, he was slowly crawling. And I had to analyze that into my head where I'm the turtle. I gotta take it slow. I can't move fast like everybody else who's been out here their whole life.
It's a big transition.
It's a big transition because here I am 3 decades in, and out of 3 decades I've been alive, I'm gonna say 1.5 of it been in the system somewhere. So I can't tell a person who been out here 3 decades, their life, how to live on the streets. A person that been out here living and doing well could tell me, but I can't because I haven't done it. So I'm the turtle. I'm looking at the rabbit. I'm wondering what the rabbit been doing to stay afloat. But I still got to stay in my lane, because when I veer off from being a turtle and being a turtle with wings, that's when I crash, because I go into another lane.
So once you got back out and you said you kind of got your focus, how do you come about like getting into the position you're in now? Because that transition for a lot of guys, they never are able to do that. They're able to go from coming out of prison to, you know, owning a bookstore, owning a taco truck, a smoke shop. How were you able to get out, you know, publish your books and get to the point where you have like a bookstore and these type of businesses?
All right, so when I went back, like I said, I was studying like, man, I have all these books. I have 100-something books I wrote in the shoe years ago now. Now these books is old. So I'm like, to me, that's a form of income. That's a form of income. And then I studied so much in prison how to write, how to publish your book, how to do all this stuff. I did all that. I had enough time in prison, like I say, the school of hard knocks, whereas I told myself, I will not let myself down no matter what. If my book's not published by the time I come home or before I come home, so I ended up signing to a major before I even came home, because I was in prison. Like I say, Turtle got back focused. So now when I came home, I was signed, I had a book out, and it was my motivation. Then I had product to come say, oh, I wrote a book. All right, I got let's say I got a balancing act. From all the negative I did, energy flex. You know, you can't have one without the other. You can't have too much negative and no positive.
That's right.
You got to have it balanced out. So all the negative I did, I got this one positive now. Now off this one positive, that'll give me a breath of fresh air. Probably somebody want to hear me. So I took my books. I took that one book and I just started going around selling, meeting people. And as I'm meeting people, I start getting different feels of life, feels of saying, oh, it's more than just the hood. It's more than life than just gang banging. It's more than life. Now I'm traveling to different states on book tour. Now I'm seeing like it's more than just what they saying. It's more than me just being in this one area that I've been prone to my whole life. So that's when I woke up and realized, like, bro, you got a whole world, not just a city, not just a section of a city. You have a whole world. So you have not just a state, not just America. You got a whole world where you could travel and meet different people of different walks of life. And not saying my struggle is better than your struggle better than my struggle. Everybody got their own struggles. With no struggle, no growth. No adversity, no growth. So that was the whole thing. I had to really talk to myself. I had to sit down and think again. So that's was from going back and what I came up on, like I had to go back and revamp.
Man, that's a hell of a focus, man. I know because you know, I've seen guys go back and forth, and sometimes it takes them more than one time to really figure out what it is they need to do. But with you, man, I see that when you went back, you were able to kind of get your mind back right. You already had the tools there. You just had to apply those tools. What would you tell a person that's been through the system, that's trying to get their act together? What advice would you give them as far as trying to avoid the pitfalls of, you know, being on parole, probation, or dealing with, you know, just past associates?
Like my biggest pet peeve is that you are the crowd you keep, straight up. You are the crowd you keep. Then, like I told you, like I believe in the universe of attraction. Like I believe in the energy you put into the universe is going to return it back to you. So like make a long story short, like my best advice I could give you, especially like if you're trying to change or if you're trying to get back right within, you got to venture out, try something new. You got to be around different people. That's why I said the crowd you keep. Then once you be around different people, it's just like if you're around me and I'm talking negative, guess where you're gonna be on?
Same page.
You're gonna be on negative.
Yeah.
So if you venture out and nobody know you from Adam or Eve, hi, my name Wooty Wooty Woo. They can't judge you by your past because they don't know you. Mm-hmm. They only know what you tell them. So it's giving you a fresh start. Mm-hmm. It's just like you say, fresh out, fresh start. That's so right. If you got a fresh start and you fresh out, that's the whole thing. Fresh out. It's not out again.
Yeah.
When you get out, everybody say, "Oh, you fresh out." Why? Because you need a fresh start.
That's right.
So you can't say you're a fresh start if you're going back to, if you know for a fact, if you was over here selling drugs or doing drugs and you go back to where you were selling drugs or doing drugs, some of your old boys go, "Hey, what up, you still got the sack? Or you still, let's go in the back of this alley and hit." You're gonna fall temptation. Mm-hmm. It's bound to happen. So make a long story short, like I say, birds of a feather flock together. So if you want out from your situation and you flock into that crowd is still doing the same shit that they was doing before you left. Mm-hmm. So if you want to flock, if you saying I want to be a lawyer, guess what I'm gonna go be around? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna figure out how to go. I'm gonna go to the courthouse. I'm gonna go where they say lawyers hang at these bars. I'm gonna go, even if, hey man, my name's Terry, man. Sometimes you gotta do it.
That's right. Humble yourself.
You gotta humble yourself. You're a humble giant. Nobody even know. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole thing. So if you want to stay out, man, make a long story short. Me personally, the best thing I could tell you is humble yourself as a being. You don't worry about what the next person think either. Because 9 times 10, if you coming out of prison or out somewhere, that means you got a story yourself. We all got our own stories to tell. So people gonna judge you off top. So you can't worry about what the next person think, who said what. You just gotta do what you feel in your heart. Some people that say they want it, that's just to say it. Mm-hmm. But if it's in your heart, you gotta go with your heart. I could say, oh, I want to do better, but it ain't my heart to do better because I'm still on the same block, hanging with the same homies, doing the same shit.
The same shit, yeah.
So
what can we expect from you in the future, man? What do you have planned as far as like future ventures, businesses and stuff like that? And what's some of the stuff you have going now?
Well, like we haven't really talked on it, but like I'm a national best-selling author. So not only is I'm a national best-selling author, like I'm one of the biggest known reputable gang members who done changed. So I get a lot of speaking engagements, go talk to kids all over the world. Like I'm just now getting off parole, so now it's better. So now like people fly me out, like especially like towards the south where the gang's starting to pick up heavy at and stuff like that. So I'm a great businessman. Like I like opening the businesses and I like seeing them flourish. I like helping people get jobs because I know where I was at. And I believe in like the theory, like if you been to the hardest depth part of your life, you could. And prison is one of the one of your biggest, hardest, let's say, struggles you're gonna have in your life is going through a prison bed. So if you could do that, you could do anything you put your mind to. So my whole thing is like I got my own publishing company. So I publish authors. I publish authors in prison. I publish like just authors, period. I got a few books coming out and I want to keep opening up stores and keep giving people, helping people get jobs and stuff like that. And my main thing is to give back to the community and these at-risk youth, like to show them, I don't want them to go through what I went through because it's easy to get caught up in.
That's right.
And it's hard to get out. You see all these guys with the fancy cars, nice chains, and you think that's life, but you don't know what they did to get what they got.
That's right. So Terry, man, I really thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, man, to do an interview with us, man. Do you have any social media links that people can check out, or what's some of the stuff that people can find your books on?
Yeah, first, man, before I even do my blast social media, I want to thank you for having me on Fresh Out, man. You can find me at Terry Wroten at Terry Wroten, TerryWroten at all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find my books or anything I got going on Amazon. You could just Google me, Terry Wroten, so stuff will pop up.
There you have it, you guys. A dope interview, a real G right here, somebody who's been through the system, who's lived a life. Check out his book, support. This brother's really going places in life. Terry, I want to thank you.
Thank you for
I
having
really
me on,
appreciate it, man. And go ahead and do your outro for the people, man.
I'm author Terry Wroten. This is Fresh Out, Life After the Penitentiary.